As much as we all like to rip on men, this is time to take some accountability.
You wanted to talk about Charlie Kirk.
I knew it.
So we'll touch on it briefly. So you said that, well, I'll just let you put it into your own words then.
Yeah, so I think I have a lot of thoughts when it comes to Charlie Kirk. Do you want me to just say everything I think?
Sure. I mean,
okay, so
is it like a 5-minute monologue or
a few minutes? Is that okay?
Few minutes?
No. You can cut me off whenever. Feel free to cut me off whenever.
Try to condense it.
Okay.
If you can, short and sweet.
Okay, so first of all, I saw Charlie Kirk hater in the title of the video, and I want to say I think hater is a very crude way of defining my thoughts on him. I think it's a lot more nuanced than that. I certainly did not celebrate his death. Regarding the super chat I saw earlier, I think it was horrible. My stomach dropped the day I saw it, and I feel for his family. I have empathy for his family, which is something he actually didn't believe in. He believed empathy was a new age term.
So let's just very short clip. Bill Clinton in the 1990s, it was all about empathy and sympathy. I can't stand the word empathy, actually. I think empathy is a made-up new age term that does a lot of damage, but it is very effective when it comes to politics. Sympathy I prefer more than empathy. That's a separate topic for a different time.
But overall, I'd say that he promoted a lot of really dangerous and harmful agendas and rhetoric.
Here we go again.
Throughout his career.
Really quick, what are those?
I think one that stood out to me specifically was the Islamophobic things he would say.
Yeah. The question is macro Islam compatible with Western values? Macro. Of course it's not. There are three major reasons why. Islam does not believe in freedom of speech. Islam does not believe in freedom of religion. And Islam does not believe in separation of mosque and state. Those three things are antithetical to the West. In a Muslim majority country, most Muslim majority countries, you cannot criticize the Prophet Muhammad. In most Muslim majority countries, you do not have the same robust freedom of religion protections. And finally, whereas we in the West are very careful to try to intermix religion and state, they are commanded to actually go into the state and try to change the state to be more Islamic around the core pillars of Islam. And the last thing I'll finally say is I cannot see a single Western country that has become more Islamic and has become a better place to live that is happier or freer.
By what metric? Just happiness, quality of life?
Everything from quality of life, from cultural cohesion, from whether people want to live there, prior to the native-born fertility rates.
Again, people watching this will say is your criticism of the religion itself or not Muslim people? Because there are British Muslims who have been born here.
You don't have to caveat it all the time. I know you guys have to because you're British and all that. A culture ceases to exist when we don't have unified language. When you cannot talk to your neighbor. I'm not discounting that there are good individual Muslims. The question that we need to reckon with the West is Mohammedanism compatible with the teachings of Blackstone? Is it compatible with the legacy of Wilberforce?
All right.
And the great thinkers that have come from this country? And I will say, no, there's a reason why when you go to these Islamic countries that you're not going to see the equal protection of rights, that you do not believe in universal human equality, that you do not believe the same things that we believe in the West. And I think it's suicidal to import millions of them.
Yeah, and you know what, just on a passing point on that, it's most of the time, as far as I'm concerned, it's not even multicultural. Because there was an example there was a school a few months ago during Easter which cancelled Easter celebrations out of respect for other faiths. So it's not as if the word multicultural and multi-diverse doesn't include Christianity.
No, and again, this is the red-green axis, and Britain is at the forefront of this. You have the Marxists that have infiltrated your government and the Islamists that are coming to your country. And when they combine together, they both agree on one thing. They have huge disagreements on a lot. They hate the West, and they want to see it broken.
Yeah. So he said, Islam is the knife that slit the throat of America, which is just no context. He tweeted that. Additionally, he said, in relation to Mamdani running for NYC mayor, and you can have whatever thoughts you want on Mamdani, like I lean left, but some of the things he talks about, like even I have questions about that. But he said, in relation to him running, he said, Muslims, they bombed America on 9/11, and now you want a Muslim in office. Nothing to do with his politics, just straight up Islamophobia. He calls Muslims conquerors, invaders. Mind you, I respect Christianity and all religions. I don't think we should generalize religions like that. But he said those about them, when, mind you, Christians have in the past, like, the Trail of Tears, the treatment of indigenous people, chattel slavery justified by the Bible, the encomienda system, the Crusades. Like, there's so much that all religions have done that's harmful, and I don't think you can suddenly say things like that about Islam.
So, I mean, there's a lot there.
Sorry, I have a lot of
You've kind of shotgunned a whole bunch of points. It's some of these are not my particular wheelhouse, and obviously Charlie Kirk has like thousands of hours of content online, and I'm not necessarily prepared to defend like every single thing he's ever said, just because I would have to know the precise points. Really quick though, just off the top of my head, an immediate rebuttal to your point, this idea that Christians did crusades. Most of these crusades were actually in response to Muslim conquest. You see like Muslim conquest in like Spain, for example, reaching into Europe, going to Vienna. So most of these Christian conflicts as it relates to Islam and Muslims were actually repelling invasions into Christian land. So Muslims did conquest all the way up to Vienna. So this idea that, you know, Muslims throughout all of history have been a completely peaceable people is ridiculous. I don't think, well, you could look at pretty much any group throughout history and say no group has really been a peaceable people.
No group has.
No group.
Well,
that would include even, for example, Native Americans. But because you did mention the Trail of Tears, I would point out, though, that, you know...
And the re-education of Native Americans.
Well, okay, well, hold on. We're getting into a whole bunch of different wheelhouses here. In any case, though, I think it's valid to have specific criticisms over things Charlie has said. Again, I'm not I don't know what the right word is. I'm not like an encyclopedia of every single thing he said. I'm not an encyclopedia of all the defenses of everything he said. Also, people tend to mischaracterize his arguments, leaving out critical context.
I quoted what he said. Islam is the knife that slit the throat of America. And you don't have to be an encyclopedia, but I'd love for you to tell me what you think of that statement specifically.
I don't know the specific context.
That is just a tweet.
Well, hold on. So you do realize, though, Charlie Kirk would be live streaming and he'd be speaking for hours on end. So for you to just throw out a statement.
This was standalone, right?
Standalone.
Yeah, like he didn't say this in the context of a long conversation. He tweeted this.
What did he say?
Islam is the knife.
Can we, just for reference?
Pull it up.
Just pull it up. Then I could give my...
And he also tweeted the thing about Mamdani, like, oh, Muslims, they bombed America during 9/11. Now you want to vote a Muslim into office. Those were standalone tweets.
I would say that that's fallacious argument. If that's what he said, I think that'd be fallacious.
Yeah, that's completely...
But also, my understanding is...
Islamophobic.
My understanding would be that Charlie Kirk, as a Christian, he would want Christian doctrine and values to have influence in the way we govern the United States.
Like a theocracy?
Well, I don't know if that was necessarily his prescription, but he would want the guiding principles and values of Christianity.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, personally, growing up around Catholic school, I think Christianity has many values, and you don't even have to specifically tie them to Christianity. Like, just overall morals,
Sure.
It should be incorporated into the government. But I can't, again, like, it's fine that he's Christian and he promotes those values.
You know what, though? Look, I think it's fair to say that Charlie Kirk has said things that you object to, or that you might even, well, hold on, that might even could be objectionable across the board. Absolutely. If you presented to me something that Charlie Kirk said, I could be like I disagree with that.
So can you please tell me that you disagree with him saying Islam is the knife that slit the throat of America, and that...
So, hold on. Is that repeat what he said.
I've said it so many times. Islam is the knife that slit the throat of America.
In reference to 9/11. Like the context would be...
Not necessarily, just in reference to all his feelings about Muslims.
But is it in reference to 9/11? Wait, hold on. Do you deny that, who were the hijackers?
I think Donald Trump is the knife that slit the throat of America.
You sure about that?
Anyway.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. I'm so glad we're on the same page about that.
Disagree on that.
You said fair enough, though.
I'm saying fair enough, not in agreement with you.
Okay.
I'm saying fair enough. You can say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'd say
Don't agree. Disavow. Disagree.
Yeah.
When he said, like, Islam is the knife that slits the throat of America, did he mean like Islam, or did he mean like ISIS and like the...
He said Islam. He said Islam.
Bad.
He did not...
I went on Twitter and I think...
Did you find it?
I found a picture. I can't 100%...
We can pull it up.
It is real, by the way.
Is this the right one?
Okay, yeah, I paraphrased
I
it.
can't confirm that this was... I'm still looking for it.
Okay.
But again, like, I mentioned a lot of things he said about
Is the
Muslims.
sword the left is using? Okay, so you did misquote him. I do want you to acknowledge that.
Okay, I do not remember all the things he said word for word, but I mean,
You are really dumb. For real.
overall, he's just said a lot of harmful things about Islam.
Okay.
I find it so strange when white, feminist, left-leaning liberal women take up for Islam, when in reverse, Islam would never take up for them. These two groups have like nothing in common, but here we are. And also, she's wearing a cross.
He's also very xenophobic.
Just curious, do you think that
Okay.
you're against like a theocracy, right?
A full-on theocracy.
Like, so for example, would you be against Sharia law in this country?
Look, I think.
Well, no, answer the
Okay.
question.
It depends on it would depend on how it's implemented.
Serious? What do you mean
Because
how it's
Sharia-
implemented?
Listen. Can I expand on that? I think there are countries that have Sharia law that don't treat women well. For example, Afghanistan. I'm completely against the treatment of women in Afghanistan and certain Sharia law. The same way I would be against like a government completely controlled by Christian values, like not incorporated, but like a full-on Christian theocracy. I don't think religion should rule the government. I think you can incorporate values of a religion into
But
the way you lead
why
a country.
can't you just answer the question?
Repeat your question?
Do you think that there should be Sharia law in the United States?
No, not necessarily. No,
But why?
That wouldn't
I
even
guess
make
why
sense. Like there's.
Why the need to like muddy the waters there?
Okay, well,
Because you're saying, so what if there was a manifestation of Sharia law that you personally found acceptable? Because I can agree with you, like there are various Muslim majority countries that
don't treat people
that
well.
they're-
Sure, yeah.
Well, no, I was about to say that have varying degrees of, liberties and freedoms for their populace. Some of them are less oppressive, some of them are more oppressive.
In my ideal world, I don't think religion is playing a role in government.
I found the actual quote, by the way.
Sure, we can pull it up.
It's a response to a video.
Oh, there we go. See, that's kind of more what I said, right? Or no, it's not, is it?
No, it's the same thing, but he's responding. This is what the full context is.
There's a clip. Okay, so
Again, regardless of a clip, I don't think that's a very great statement to make. I think, you said, oh, Islam's not a fully peaceable religion or something like that. I think
I suppose this could apply to all religions,
right. I think the vast majority of Muslims are not for terrorism and not for ISIS
I
and
can
not
agree
for
with that.
9/11. That's not.
I can agree with
that's
that.
like liberal Islam, which is like widely practiced today, is normal and acceptable and peaceful and should not be subject to the things that he said about Islam.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think.
Okay.
I hope you can agree with that.
Agree with what specifically?
That like Islam as a religion is not inherently.
But I'm a little bit
terrorist or
confused.
anything
Wouldn't
like that.
you make a criticism if there were Christian nationalists who wanted to govern the United States under a Christian doctrine? Would you object to that? And
I would completely object
Would
to
you
that.
think that would be like potentially slitting the throats of liberty in America?
Yeah, sure.
So how would it be then if that's your position, how could you possibly have an objection to somebody saying, well, this other religion over here, that would be slitting the throats of Americans if used by the left?
Because the left isn't even using Islam to slit the throat of America. That doesn't even make sense. No one's trying to incorporate Islam values into the government here.
No, that's not it. It's not about the left implementing Muslim values in the government. What Charlie saw was that there was a mutual hate shared between the left and Islam towards America. That's why he said the left will use Islam as the knife that will slit America's throat. A mutual shared destruction.
Are they? Please correct me if I'm wrong.
I mean, perhaps not at full scale, but like if you
Not
look,
in any
if you look
like-
at Dearborn, Michigan, for example, it's like a completely Muslim majority area. You have women
Mm-hmm.
walking around, and I don't know what your position on this is, but
don't
women
know much
walking
about that.
around in like full burqa, full is it niqab? I think I'm not
Yeah,
entirely
yeah, that's
sure.
the one that covers everything
Like-
but your eyes.
Yeah, so I don't know how that.
That's
is-
completely acceptable, by the way.
What's that?
For someone to wear that
What's that?
clothing. Like
You,
it's
you say it's unacceptable?
no, it's acceptable.
You think it's acceptable?
Of course, yeah.
Okay, I mean,
It's freedom of religion. It's in the First Amendment, right?
okay, sure, I suppose.
What do you mean you suppose?
Yeah, people are free to do it.
Is it?
But would you like to see that being the status quo for the entirety of America?
But the entirety of America is not Muslim, so that would never be the status quo.
I know, but I'm just talking hypothetically.
If the whole of America was somehow Muslim and practicing Islam and chose to wear the niqab, which is like a very far-stretched hypothetical, then yes, because we have the right to practice whatever religion we believe in.
Question for you though. Let's say, for example, you realize that there's different jurisdictions, right? So you have like local jurisdictions where it's like the city level, then you have county,
and then you have federal, right?
Then you have state. Would you object to assume there was a Muslim majority in a county? Sure. Michigan, for example, and they said, you know what, we're going to pass a law that requires women to wear the niqab.
I would disagree with that.
You would disagree with that?
What I'm advocating for is the freedom to practice your religion, practice your speech, your beliefs, whatever that is. So no one could enforce a certain belief or anything like that on you, right?
Okay. So I understand that you have specific criticisms of things Charlie Kirk has said, but I do want to get back.
Thing, his xenophobia. He was very xenophobic, like against immigrants.
How so?
Okay, so there's this reporter who used to...
Wait, really quick, can you define xenophobia?
Discrimination against immigrants, prejudice against immigrants.
So if just by virtue of
foreigners, aliens, whatever you want to use.
Let's say you, as an American, you have a anti-illegal immigration stance. Would that make you xenophobic?
No, not necessarily. Not necessarily. And I want to get into that.
I stand here as living proof of the illegal immigrant dream. People who are here legally, who have only come here to work for a better life for their children, who are only here to work hard and commit no crimes, a chance of becoming legal without them being sent back to their countries.
So yes, they should be sent back, but are you illegal or are your parents illegal?
My father was illegal. Now he is a citizen of this great nation.
Okay, so let me ask you just a theoretical question. If somebody robs a bank because they can't feed their family, should they be prosecuted for that crime?
Yes.
Okay, so therefore we should not relax the immigration laws just because someone has a good story or they want to feed their family.
But do you not think that robbing a bank is a little bit different than just moving? Something that needs to be looked at as options to allow people who came here illegally, who have worked hard and who have not committed any crimes moving across the border.
They did commit a crime. They committed a crime when they crossed the southern border. We set the laws in America for the good of the people of this country, not for the good of the people of Mexico. It is hard work to make a nice country. It's easy work to destroy a nice country. And a country is destroyed when you have uncontrolled amounts of people and you have no idea who they are and they're not invited. Ceasing to abide by the American immigration code, which is we should know and have control over who comes into this country, then you're not a country. You're just kind of a territory, and whoever wants to come can come. And that would be the end of the United States of America.
Biggest companies who hate us the most, that have smeared us, slandered us, and transed our kids, are the ones that are pushing for more foreign labor into the top levels of our corporations and our entry levels. Here are the facts. The H-1B visa program is heavily abused by these major multi-trillion-dollar companies. Another reason companies use them is that H-1B visas, like I say, is indentured servitude. They can't leave that job. It is a way to depress wages and replace American workers. Imagine if we got rid of that, and instead of letting 10,000 people a year who score the highest on a difficult test of IQ plus English language proficiency with strict controls to prevent cheating and to keep out anybody with a criminal record. It is about priorities, and it's not about what Charlie Kirk wants. It's not about what other people want out there. And I have friends on both sides of this debate. It's very simple. It's what the American people wanted.
Let's get the record straight. Charlie Kirk was anti-illegal immigration and wanted to reduce legal immigration. Not because he was xenophobic or any of that other nonsense. It's because he had concerns on the crime that it brought, the fact that a lot of these immigrants did not want to assimilate to American culture, and for the most part, they were taking jobs away from your everyday average American. All valid concerns.
But what if you point to, for example, like potential negative outcomes of illegal immigration? Is that xenophobic?
No, because I recognize the potential negative effects of illegal immigration, which is why I'm more moderate when it comes to the topic of immigration.
So
but that still doesn't make me xenophobic.
What specifically has Charlie Kirk said that's xenophobic?
Yeah, so Mehdi Hasan, he was reporting on MSNBC, and I forgot what he was reporting about, but out of context, Charlie Kirk, he heard his British accent, and he said, someone send this guy to wherever he came from. Like, send him back, deport him for what he was saying, like his take that he disagreed with.
From the rest of the non-Muslims, from the rest of those human beings who live their lives as animals, bending any rule to fulfill any desire. Once we do that, we are lost.
And mind you, this guy, Mehdi Hasan, he's an American citizen, completely naturalized. He said something about if you criticize Israel, I won't talk too much about that necessarily if it's not allowed, but you should be deported. So he kind of had this stance of like, oh, you say something I disagree with, get out of this country. Like that seems kind of a little bit xenophobic to me. Yeah, sure. So, I mean, what I ultimately want to do, though, I'm sure you can list so many things. I'm sure you can list a dozen things. And I'm not even cherry picking them, right? That's fine. That's fine. I just hear this all, and that's totally fine. And look, myself, I could probably point to things that Charlie Kirk has said that I would be like, I disagree with that, or I have disagreement on policy, or that specific thing he said, wording, not great, wrong, whatever. I want to bring it back to the central point here, though, is that radical statements. You're saying that he said these bad things. Radical statements. Extreme, vulgar, kind of dangerous radical statements. Dangerous. Also, the stuff about gun violence. Oh my god. Oh my god. Well, okay. Again, I don't want to get into the weeds with you. I don't want to, because then we're just going to have like a debate on all his political takes. We're going to talk about gun control. My dream date. We're going to talk about everything, right? I know. So he doesn't want to talk about it. It's okay. Well, but what I did want to talk about, the central point here would be, is it sounds like you're about to make a justification for assassination. No, okay, never. Well, no one should ever be assassinated for their speech, no matter how crazy and harmful it is. But where's the but? Is there a but? Well, there's a period at the end of that sentence. You know what? Sure, I can add a but though. I don't think he could be separated from the agendas he chose to promote. With that said, I still don't think he should be killed. And again, like, it's horrifying and disgusting, and I condemn it. And it's really harmful to democracy for someone to be killed for the things they say, no matter how outlandish. You say he ultimately contributed to the dangerous political environment that led to his demise. I don't think he can be separated from the systems he spent his time promoting. Like, for example, I think if Charlie Kirk was, let's say you had a son. Wait, I don't even understand this logic. So, for example, if anybody who ever votes for a politician, like, how can you ever be separated from the system that you promoted through your vote and through your own agency? What I'm saying that about Charlie Kirk specifically. Well, question, if somebody voted for Donald Trump and they were assassinated, or they believe in, like, they're like really pro Second Amendment, would you be like, well, you contributed, we can't separate you from that system because you are pro Second Amendment? Well, I mean, it's not supposed to be a justification. It's supposed to be. Well, it's a bit of you're doing a nuanced look at. You're doing a bit of hand waving. Also, with Charlie Kirk, it's different than voting because he's like, he was funded by billionaires. He was very influential. He had like all these like viral clips and moments. Like, so he should be assassinated? No. I mean, so you're trying to like. You've just made the argument like these Democrats, by the way, extremely bought out by major corporations. Kamala, massive contributions from billionaire donors. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in billionaires playing a huge role in politics. When you say you don't believe in that, you're saying you don't believe what I said to be true, or you don't believe that billionaires should be contributing politically? I don't think they should be like pouring all their money into these media mouthpieces. That's a separate conversation, though. Okay. But that's what I believe. I just don't think they should be like funding what. Right, but then you would have to argue that, well, okay, because Kamala raised billions of dollars. I don't love Kamala, from donors. She's not right, but she should. I don't think she should be assassinated for it. But your logic would seem to. Charlie Kirk should not have been assassinated. It seems to follow that she's contributed to the system of violence. What I wanted to say about that statement in the context of Charlie Kirk is that he constantly kind of like excused and brushed over gun violence every year. He's like, oh, it's collateral. Oh, it's just like car accident deaths every year. That's the consequence of us getting to drive a car.
Now, we must also be real. We must be honest with the population. Having an armed citizenry comes with a price. Wow. And that is part of liberty. Wow. Driving comes with a price. 50,000 people die on the road every year. Wow. That's a price. You get rid of driving, you'd have 50,000 less auto fatalities. But we have decided that the benefit of driving, speed, accessibility, mobility, having products, services, is worth the cost of 50,000 people dying on the road. Wow. So we need to be very clear that you're not going to get gun deaths to zero. It will not happen. Right. You can significantly reduce them through having more fathers in the home, yes, by having more armed guards in front of schools. Yes. We should have an honest and clear reductionist view of gun violence, but we should not have a utopian one. You will never live in a society when you have an armed citizenry and you won't have a single gun death. That is nonsense. It's drivel. Wow. But I think it's worth it. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. That is a prudent deal. It is rational. Nobody talks like this. They live in a complete alternate universe. So then how do you reduce? Very simple. People say, oh, Charlie, how do you stop school shootings? I don't know. How did we stop shootings at baseball games?
Yeah.
And I think if you had a son who was in first grade and that son was the victim of gun violence, Charlie Kirk would not bat an eye in the direction. Or care about that at all. Because it was just collateral to him. Gun violence was just collateral to him.
Well, I think Charlie Kirk would absolutely be broken if one of his children was killed by gun violence.
Yeah, but when it's other people's children, like when it's the people, there was another school shooting the same day Charlie Kirk died. If he had lived past that, he would have been like, oh, it's just collateral. It's just so we can bear arms. It's just like the
I think you can still want to maintain your constitutional rights, specifically the Second Amendment, and also abhor unjustified killings, violence, school shootings.
But at the expense of how many lives?
But believing in the Second Amendment and wanting to uphold the Second Amendment and giving people access to, robust ability to protect themselves and to prevent a tyrannical government.
Without even the consideration of any sort of gun control.
Let me just finish my point. I think these two positions are not contradictory. So you can be like, hey, we have a major issue in our country. Gun violence of any kind we shouldn't have any, but we should also be able to own firearms.
Right, but then if you think that, if you are so horrified by gun violence, but you want to protect your Second Amendment right, then shouldn't you believe in some sort of gun control, some sort of checks and measures?
There are.
Wouldn't implementing stronger background checks, especially for high-powered weapons like AK-47s, be a more reasonable and effective step to protect the children?
Do you feel safe in California walking the streets at night in Los Angeles as a woman?
Not necessarily, no.
So remember, our goal is a safe society. So just stricter gun laws does not always equal a safer society.
I have a 10-year-old little sister, and every day stress about sending her to school.
Does that school have an armed guard?
I'm not entirely
That's
sure.
why you're stressing.
That's a fair point.
Why do we protect our banks, our airports, and our sports stadiums with people with guns, but not our schools?
Liberal women, always advocating for something they know nothing about. There's already plenty of checks and balances, rules and regulations concerning gun ownership, but yet we have criminals still getting their hands on them. It doesn't matter how tough the policies are. People will find a way to get their hands on one. All you're doing is making it harder for the law-abiding to protect themselves and their families. So thanks, but no thanks. We're good over here.
That's what I call a chain reaction.
Manifest my own destiny. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. The perfect recipe. May they remember me. My words will live on. I'm guided by an energy, a flame. Hold it close to you. Check out my melodies. Is it the media that's been leading you? I'll show you a thing. Misdirection, what's the message? They don't want you to win.
As much as we all like to rip on men, this is time to take some accountability.